If you're 30, you probably don't have your whole life ahead of you. You have maybe 50 summers left. And yeah, I know 50 still sounds like a lot, but 50 is also the kind of number people use when they're talking about something that disappeared way faster than they expected. And here's the part that gets uncomfortable. If you only see your parents once or twice a year, then you may only have 10 or 20 more normal dinners with them before one of those dinners turns into the kind of memory you'd do anything to get back. Not some huge dramatic goodbye, just dinner. Somebody's talking too loud, somebody wants the fan off, somebody else is pretending they're not cold. At the time, it feels ordinary. That's exactly why it hurts later. Because most of us do know life is limited. We just have a weird talent for living like it isn't. Hey, I'm Vex Oriss. If you like videos that make you stop for a second and really think about how you're living, subscribe. It helps the channel a lot, and it helps me keep making more of these. Because this is what people do. We keep pushing life to later. Later I'll slow down. Later I'll call more. Later I'll be more present. Later I'll sort my priorities out. Later I'll live properly. And somehow later keeps beating us. That's what's so weird about time. It usually doesn't leave in some dramatic movie scene way. It just kind of leaks out. A little more work, a little more stress, a little more scrolling. A few more years doing things you never properly stopped to question. And then one day you look around and realize you didn't really choose this life in some bold, intentional way. You just kept saying yes to the next thing. And I honestly think that's how a lot of people end up with lives that look fine from the outside, but feel slightly wrong when they're alone with them.
Because one of the biggest traps is busyness. A lot of people are not living intentionally. They're living by momentum. Wake up, go to work, reply to messages, stress yourself out, buy something to feel better, need more money because you bought the thing, do it all again tomorrow. Incredible system, very smooth, definitely no flaws there. And the dangerous part is, from the outside, that can look a lot like success. You've got the calendar, the salary, the title, the polished little image of a person who is clearly doing well. But being busy does not automatically mean your life is going in the right direction. Sometimes it just means you've become very efficient at climbing the wrong ladder. And the annoying part is, people will usually clap for you while you're doing it. That's why this way of living doesn't really work. If your whole life is built around looking successful, then even when it works, it still feels oddly empty, because you can absolutely win at the wrong game. People do it every day. Just imagine yourself at the end of your life. Not the dramatic version where everyone suddenly becomes wise and background music appears from nowhere. The real version. You're old, you're tired, and you know there is no more later. Do you really think your big regret in that moment is going to be, I wish I'd worked a little harder so I could get one more fancy word in my job title? Probably not. You're probably not going to care whether you became senior something, chief whatever, or vice president of standing near glass looking stressed. You're not going to care about the emails, the meetings, the fake urgency, the late nights, the job that would replace you, post a warm little goodbye message, and keep moving by Tuesday. What you'll care about is a lot simpler than that. Who you loved, who loved you, whether you showed up, whether you were actually there for your own life while it was happening. And I think that's where a lot of the emptiness comes from. A lot of people spend years trying to become impressive, when what they really wanted was to feel alive. And those are not the same thing.
The other thing people get wrong is relationships. We act like the people in our lives are just going to stay where they are. They won't. When you're a kid, most of your world is family. Then you get older and your friends become everything. Then adulthood shows up, and suddenly most of your time goes to your partner, maybe your kids, and a ridiculous amount of your life goes to coworkers, which is always a little humbling when you realize some of those relationships are being held together almost entirely by payroll. Then life changes again. Your parents get older, your friends get busier, your kids grow up and leave, your partner may not always be there, and if you live long enough, your world usually gets smaller. You spend more time alone. That's not me trying to be dark for no reason. I'm saying maybe stop treating the people you love like permanent background furniture in your life, because they're not. There is no guarantee of plenty more time. Usually you only realize a moment mattered after it's gone. Nobody sits at a random family dinner thinking, wow, this pasta is going to emotionally ruin me in 7 years. You only realize it later. That was one of the last times everyone was together. One of the last years your parents felt strong. One of the last phases where your kids actually wanted to be around you.
one of the last normal evenings before life quietly changed shape. And this is where a lot of people completely fool themselves. They think love can survive on leftovers. Their job gets their energy, their phone gets their attention, the world gets their responsiveness, and the people they love get whatever is left. Leftover time, leftover patience, leftover focus. Then later they wonder why life feels thin. But love doesn't do very well on leftovers. Relationships don't stay alive because you vaguely mean well and occasionally say, "We should catch up soon," which, let's be honest, is adult language for, "This conversation is about to die politely." They stay alive because you actually give them time. You call people back. You stay a little longer. You put the phone down. You actually listen. You're actually there when you're there.
And then there's money. This is where things get weird fast, because a lot of people spend their whole lives chasing money just to buy a slightly nicer version of the same life, a slightly bigger house, a slightly shinier car, a slightly better badge, a slightly more expensive way of telling other people, "Look, I think I'm doing well." And that's a brutal trade if you really think about it. Not because money is bad. Money matters. It creates safety. It reduces stress. It gives you options. That part is real. But money only helps when it supports your life. Once it turns into a scoreboard, people start making really dumb trades. Used properly, money can be one of the best tools you have against time. If something takes you 10 hours, but someone else can do it in half the time, or do it properly the first time, then paying for help can be a very smart trade. Because sometimes what you're buying is not convenience, it's peace of mind, it's less stress, it's fewer mistakes, it's your time back. That's very different from spending money just to look successful. Because once you start seeing time as the real currency, your thinking changes. That flashy car isn't just $50,000. It might be 1 year of your life, maybe 2, maybe 3. And that's a much more irritating way to think about money, which is exactly why it's useful. Because now the question isn't just, can I afford this? Now it's, is this worth part of my life? That clears up a lot. Suddenly you care less about symbols and more about freedom. Less about looking successful, more about feeling at peace. Less about impressing people who are way too busy trying to impress each other to study your life that closely anyway. And underneath all of this, it's still the same trap. Someday I'll slow down. Someday I'll be more present. Someday I'll fix my priorities. Someday I'll start living properly. But life doesn't pause while you say that. It just keeps moving. Quietly, daily, without checking whether you feel ready.
So no, this is not about quitting your job, moving to a cabin, and becoming the kind of person who suddenly has strong opinions about herbal tea and says things like, "I've really been bonding with silence lately." It's much simpler than that. You probably do not need a new life. You probably need to stop giving your current one away so casually. Stop handing your best energy to things that only make you look important. Stop assuming the people you love will always be there, in the same health, the same mood, the same season of life. Stop spending your years like there's some secret second life waiting for you after this one. And if you actually want to do something with this, start small. Call someone back. Stay a little longer at dinner. Put your phone down for one evening. Spend money in a way that gives you time back instead of just giving you something new to show people. And ask yourself, honestly, whether the life you're building is one you'd still choose if nobody was there to applaud it. Because at the end of the day, you can't give your life to everything. So sooner or later, you have to decide what actually deserves it. And I want to ask you something simple. What's one thing in your life you know you need to give less time to, and one thing you want to give more time to? Leave your answer in the comments. I genuinely like to hear what you think, and I'm sure other people here would too. And if you enjoyed this, subscribe to Vex Oriss. It really helps the channel, and it helps me keep making more videos like this.